Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time travelling toy collector, and today we are finally thrilled and delighted to have in our hands Studio Series Megatron. Now, this is, of course, the much-awaited Studio Series figure. Much-awaited in terms of actually getting our hands on him as a collecting society, but also much awaited to see just how effective the alt mode is, because, you know, we'll just get it out there. He ain't turning into a gun. He's never turning into a gun in the foreseeable future in any sort of mainline toy format. And so the Studio Series 86 iteration could not turn into a gun. I've seen numerous ways of what they've done to numerous videos to accommodate that particular aspect. And if I'm brutally honest, I think they've done all that they can do. So I think anyone not getting it is perhaps just a little bit, you know, not on the right page. And I say that not to be mean to G1 collectors, in inverted commas, but again, if we're looking at a toy line that is playable with, and I know that there's an obvious couple of contradictions to this, but if you want him to engage with Optimus Prime as a figure, then he needs to be in a scale and in an alt mode that can do that. If you convert Megatron into a pistol, he's immediately not going to be in an alt mode that can engage with Optimus Prime, because he's going to be a human-sized Walter PPK against a toy truck. Doesn't work. Now, I know that there's Soundwave, I know there's Reflector, and I get that doesn't quite tally as a line of thought, but again, in their alt modes, they don't really go up against people. The robots in their alt modes, they are just disguised. So again, same with Blaster, they are just disguised as sound systems. Megatron, you want to be able to fight with Prime, and so giving him a vehicle he can go up against is the best thing they can do. And also, he was reimagined way back in the beginning as a tank, you know, following his gun mode. So there is historical. It was the mode that came next for him. It was admittedly a camouflage version, and God knows, maybe we'll see this in that version somewhere down the line. But you know, here we are, and so we just have to kind of go, it's a tank mode, end of story. Let's take a look at the box. It's a big box for what he's leader class, yeah, but it's a big box. But my understanding is that this is because he's what you would call a box mate, because his box is the same size as another leader class box, and so consequently it's just the artwork that is different, but the design and the size of him is the same. So he has to be in the same leader class box as another figure, hence it being this size. But it does give him quite a bit of space to sort of breathe in the window, although it does look a little bit like he's got too much space. Fusion cannon hiding in the corner, packet of stuff down there, but we'll deal with that in our own time. Here is a lovely shot of robot mode Megatron. Really love that. On the back, of course, we have the animation version of Megatron that this is going to emulate. Product shot there where he's got his Energon sword from their iconic duel. Storage on the back for the stuff. The tank here, not sure about attaching this. So this is another accessory. This accessory is Megatron in his gun mode. Now this is interesting because, and this is what I like about the concept here. Now, what it looks like in hand, another matter, but what we get here is a gun mode for Megatron, but in scale with other Transformers. So he can transform into this mode. So there's your gun, but it's compatible with the Transformers that would hold him in the cartoon, for example. So Starscream, in the Attack on the Ark, he can appear in that diorama in this mode, for example, and you get what you want. But then there is also a third mode, let's say, which is the tank mode. Now, I have seen some people's videos in anticipation of getting my own. I do try not to do that, but when you're really keen and you're in the UK and you're waiting forever, it gets difficult. So, the gun portion here, which sits on his back, has this sort of sight thing here at the top, where I've seen other people put this on. It always seems to be underneath. So I don't know whether there's what that's about, but because it makes more sense to me that it's at the top than the bottom, but maybe there's a reality to that isn't quite so we'll see when we get there. A little bit of blurb here. Megatron and the Decepticons prepare to mount a surprise attack on Autobot City. I don't know which Decepticon this is with the blue arm. I don't know if it's a teaser for something coming. On this side, it's just the wraparound artwork continuing, so it's just Megatron being all Megatrony. And that's really it for the box art. You get on the top Megatron, Transformers the movie. So yeah, at this juncture, we'll get him out of the box. And here we have Megatron all unboxed and out of his packaging. And I have to say, first impressions, this figure is very, very impressive. A couple of initial observations, so I'm going to get him a hand straight away. Well, this is not an observation, this is just fact. The Energon sword, which has got a beautifully metallic purple sheen to it, is packed separately along with his gun thingy at the back. I wanted to say gun turret, but it's not a gun turret, is it? It's just the gun barrel there. Both of which attached to the back there. That gives him his sort of traditional Generation 1 and Studio Series 86 silhouette. I'm also super impressed, I think is the best word I can go for, with the stiffness of the figure. I mean, he's not super heavy, but he does have heft, and nothing's wiggling about or falling off in any way, shape or form. I do know, and I've just done the unboxing of Megatron. I've actually done as a sort of behind the scenes video for Patreon, so you can see that there'll be a link in the blurb for this video. But I was chatting over there. There's a lot of discussion around what colour Megatron's lower legs are. And I've got to say, some people say, oh, they look blue. And I think in some pictures they have looked blue. But I also think it may also have something to do with the white balance of some cameras. Because I have to say, as far as I'm concerned, these are not blue. There is blue here on the centre of his sort of chest control thing here. That's blue. This is not blue. Very, very different. This is most definitely a variant of grey. I mean, it is. There might be a hint of blue mixed into it. Maybe that's what's giving it that shade. But yeah, for me, this is definitely not bluey at all. So so anyone who's worried that it might detract from the figure, in my opinion, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. Something that detracts for me a little bit more, which was I didn't notice till I got him out of the box, is that the hip section and the hip skirt, again, very nicely detailed, without being too detailed, is almost a funny shade of, and I don't know if it shows up well on the camera, but it's almost a funny shade of, it feels like it's off black. It almost feels like a sort of chocolatey brown rather than black. And the same for the fusion cannon, which is a shame because his hands are very clearly black, and there's some nice finger articulation there as well. You can see that there's finger. That doesn't look very nice, but yeah, he can point. He can sort of fold his articulated fingers over and then be, warning Starscream to just pack it in, or he'll just turn him to dust. And don't know what he's doing with all of those stupid trumpets that he's handing out to the Constructicons for later. So again, those black hands really almost show that this and this is a different kind of, an odd kind of colour. And that might be what's throwing some people off in terms of, well, that looks quite blue. It doesn't really look quite blue, but maybe to some people's eye it looks bluer because this isn't black. It's causing a bit of a sort of, I don't know, there must be some sort of effect. It's not a Mandela effect, but some sort of crazy effect that makes you think, that makes this look one colour because another colour is off, but you don't really notice that necessarily because you're making assumptions. But you can see there is a different shade here, so maybe the brain does a certain thing. Anyway, I don't know, I'm just saying. So we also have the fusion cannon over here, and again, lovely articulation available to us with this Megatron. I'm a little Well, I was going to say I'm a little on the fence. I'm not. I don't like it. I mean, it works fine. I'm not going to go nuts about it, but I don't like that the barrel seems to be back-loaded. Sorry, made a bit of a fuss about focusing. So this almost feels like it should slide. It doesn't, but it feels like it should slide forwards so that this is extended, the actual barrel is further forwards, and there's less of this rear section. This almost feels like it's a little bit too far back. And it's probably me being nitpicky, but it just feels like either this needs to click out or this whole thing should be able to push through to redress the balance and the weighting of the fusion cannon. But again, that's a me thing really, rather than a, I just feel it looks like it's the wrong way round. I think his gait is really good. He has a really nice stance. You've seen some of it already. We've got all the required articulation you could possibly hope for. Everything moves as you would want it to. I love the detailing. I love that we've got the triggers here on his shoulder, or, you know, not the trigger, but the hammer that would be in the gun mode of the G1. That would be, you know, the hammer. So there's so much very, very clever detailing that's gone into this that I think is absolutely superb. I think the face sculpt of Megatron is fantastic. The red eyes, absolutely gorgeous. You've got a lot of expressive head movements there. Love the Decepticon logo. There, the color detailing, metallic in some cases there on the chest piece, brilliant. There's not too much, you know, again, some of the Studio Series has very little, and I think this is what we're going to see with the Seekers that we're going to have coming. It has very little surface detailing. I think this is a nice balance. I think this is a nice balance between enough to make us go, okay, there's something going on with this sculpt, but not too much that it's overcomplicated, a bit like where we saw the Earthrise Starscream mold being reused for Studio Series 86 Starscream, Coronation Starscream. So I'm hoping that when we get the new Studio Series 86 version of Starscream in the new mold, the surface detailing is metered down. There is still mechanical detailing, and it's fine. It's a very well filled out figure, to be honest. There's nothing really that screams gaps. I love, and I know people have talked about this, so I'm sort of retreading other people's ground here, but it is true, and in hand it is amazing. You can see how the tracks form part of the legs. You only know they're the tracks if you know they're the tracks. Otherwise, they just look like the legs that would normally form the handle of the gun. Now, I've mentioned the gun a few times, and as I've, you know, rightly pointed out, hopefully I think rightly pointed out, a gun mode isn't going to be happening. But what we do get is this accessory, and this accessory is Megatron in his gun mode. And I think this is absolutely a genius step by the Hasbro team, giving us this, because it does mean that Megatron, as he appeared in gun mode in Studio Series in the film, the 86 movie, can happen here. He can be held by another Transformer in this gun mode without anyone thinking that this is a gun and causing, you know, those sorts of problems for kids going out with this as a toy. They can go, actually, another character like Starscream or the Constructicons or whoever can hold Megatron, pew pew pew, he's in his gun mode, but because obviously it wouldn't be in scale if he turned into a gun mode, they give you this accessory. So that takes care of business if you want to do any dioramas from the Studio Series 86, love it. And then if you want to go up against Optimus Prime in vehicle mode, you've got a tank mode in which to do it. We do have lovely waist articulation here, very, very good. The legs do everything they need to do. You can see the double mushroom joint there. It's firm, you know, it does hold, as I showed you already, really well, and that lends itself to a significant amount of posability. You can see just from me standing him here and posing him around, there's an awful lot of active posability that this figure gives you, and I think we couldn't want more than that. But how does he stack up against some of his compatriots? Well, there's only really one compatriot that matters, if we're honest. But just for the sake of, you know, so we can see, let's first of all put him up against the last sort of mainline Megatron that kind of gave us Megatron vibes. And that is the, pardon his feet, that's the Earthrise Megatron. and you can see there Earthrise Megatron doesn't really do all that. And look at, and now this has been a figure that's out of the sun, but you can see there's some yellowing happening there, also on the joints. And again, this is a figure absolutely kept out of the sun. I will say though, they've both got pretty decent head sculpts. He looks like he's had a really rough day though, so this version of Megatron is a winner in terms of the head sculpt. But just wanted to show you that comparison. And then for the sake of ludicrousness, here he is with the core class Megatron. And again, you can see with core class Megatron my point exactly with the fusion cannon. It is front loaded with a much smaller section there. So this version of Megatron, core class Megatron, keep your legs together, mate. He's got his fusion cannon on point. So thanks for that. We've also got a couple of primes to look at before we get the main event here. So here is Rise of the Beasts Bumblebee type Optimus Prime. So you can see how that works. It's not completely different when we put him up against, well, the long time equivalent of our decent Prime from the sort of revitalized toy line. So that's your Earthrise Prime. So you can see how that looks, which is, you know, I think perfectly reasonable. And then of course we have the one we're all interested in. I certainly was. It's the Studio 86 Optimus Prime and Megatron face to face, you know, at last. And I think they scale really well. Megatron is slightly larger than Optimus Prime, but that is how it should be. And I think they really do. You can just see from the aesthetic of the two that they are meant to be together. They are absolutely meant to be together. So I think this really works. And I'm, you know, when I finally get round to doing a full-on display of my Studio Series 86 figures, when I get my new cabinets and everything that I'm planning to do for the future, I think I'm going to have a substantial amount of fun making those things do what I want them to do. So I'm very excited about that. Yes, I am. So that is Megatron in all of his robot glory. And again, I'll just give him a bit of a spin so you can see without my hands all over him. I think he looks absolutely phenomenal. I think he looks absolutely terrific. Yeah, really like what we're getting here. Like his, as I say, like the gait that he gives us in terms of his stance. It's really effective. Yeah, I've got zero complaints. So if you've got any particular questions you want to know about Robot Mode Megatron or Megatron in general, either drop them in the comments here or pick them up over on my Patreon where I've done the unboxing. And I will do I'll probably get around to doing a Patreon video which just picks up on any queries or questions that people have about the figure. I shall now undertake the thing that I don't want to do really, because it's never going to be a mode that I put him into. It just isn't. But I am now going to transform him into vehicle mode, and I will get back to you straight away with my thoughts and views on how easy or otherwise this was. So in the meantime, please don't touch that dial. And here we have Megatron all transformed into his tank mode. And, you know, is it the worst tank mode in the world? No. Is it fantastic? Also no. But you know what? It's compact. It is good. I have to say, from a transformation point of view, the arms are a little tricky, but that was mostly on my understanding and reading of the instructions. And then once I'd done that properly, it wasn't quite so problematic. The feet tuck away quite well. It does still look a little bit sort of kibbly and messy around the back, but there's not much you can do about that. You do get turret rotation, but if you go too far, it does start to look a bit weird. But nevertheless, you do get it, which is nice, and you don't always get that. I do think that the tracks look exceptionally good, and the detailing around the edges is exceptionally good. And one of the reasons I'm sort of focusing on the tracks there is because the way the legs transform, the way that these tracks come out, and the various panels that emerge from tucked away within Megatron is in and of itself engineering genius. I think that is spectacular. Love we still have the Decepticon logo on display there. There is storage here for his laser sword. There is storage here for his gun mode. I personally don't think that makes any sense for you to have his gun mode here, but for the sake of completeness, you can install it, and then he can have himself on the top of his turret. So you've got storage if you want to store all of his accessories, but as I say, to me that makes no odds. This is, you know, his alt mode that is other figure compatible, so I'm not going to be doing that. But it rolls really well. It's got wheels built in there, so it's not, you know, it's not problematic. He's going to be moving along very nicely. But it is, yeah, I mean, it is exactly what it appears to be. It's a tank version of Megatron. So I suppose, arguably, this is the version we didn't, the mode we didn't get to see in the film, if you were trying to justify why Studio Series 86, I think number 35 by my reckoning, because again, obviously they've dropped the sort of secondary numbering now, but I'm not dropping it because I've got a whole playlist dedicated to it, so that would be insane. So I think it's Studio Series 86 35. I just think it looks great. I think it looks great in context. I think we assume this is the mode we never saw. This is the mode we did see, albeit briefly, and he's wielded by other characters. Fantastic. Had he had to transform into a tank, we know he could have done, but he didn't. He carried on fighting Optimus Prime the old-fashioned way, as a robot and as a gun that could be wielded by his fellow Decepticons, which, had he transformed into that in toy mode, wouldn't have worked. But because they give us this additional accessory that can be held by Starscream, etc., it works perfectly. So I can accept this perfectly as a Studio Series 86 version of Megatron, because the robot mode is so poseable, so fantastic, and I really can't wait to do some proper photography with his robot mode. The tank is perfectly serviceable, and was quite fun to transform once I got the hang of it. Is it going to be what I keep him in? I think we all know the answer to that. It absolutely isn't. And also, just because it managed to answer, that's a little bit of plastic that's escaped, it managed to answer my question. This does manage to fit in with this bit up top. I don't know why people had it underneath. If you know why, please let me know in the comments down below. Similarly, if you've enjoyed having a little look at Megatron with me, and my wafflings and warblings, then please do drop a like to the video. Be hugely appreciated, and it does really help. Similarly, great if you haven't already done so, if you could drop a subscription to the channel. And as mentioned, my Patreon, there'll be a link to that in the description of the video down below. But let me know your thoughts. Are you happy with Megatron? Are you able to reconcile the tank mode, given that they've given us this version of him that will work with the Transformers in the Studio Series 86 line? Are you okay with him having this third mode, let's say, which is again not uncommon for Megatron in recent lore? He's a jet, he's a tank, and so on and so forth, or he's a truck and whatever. So are you able to reconcile that so that you can go, actually, yeah, okay, I can work with this, I can work with that, it's gonna be okay? Or are you going to be coming down the slightly more purist line and saying, no, if he doesn't transform into a gun, he ain't no Studio Series 86 for me. He's just another Megatron that just happens in robot mode to scale well with Optimus Prime. What are your views? Love to hear them in the comments down below. You've been a fantastic companion whilst I've been having a look at Megatron, and I'm really looking forward to having you in future videos and hearing your feedback on different toys and what they can do and what they can't do. And what you think about the quality of them. In the meantime, take care. Thank you very much for spending your quality time with me. And it just remains for me to say that things of beauty really are toys forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.